Ambition, conquest, betrayal. It's the kind of stuff that makes for an epic story. And today, we're diving into one that's absolutely packed with drama, all squeezed into a reign that lasted just 1 year. Welcome to The Explainer, where we're going to unpack the story of Aristobulus I.
So you have to imagine, this was the central question, the big conflict for the Hasmonean dynasty in ancient Judea. For generations, they'd been high priests, religious leaders. Then along comes Aristobulus I. And his answer to that question, it was shocking and it was bloody.
So in 104 BC, Aristobulus becomes the very first Hasmonean leader to take on this powerful Greek title. Now, this wasn't just him changing his job title. Oh no, this was a massive break from the entire tradition of priestly leadership that had defined his family for generations. A huge deal.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. Aristobulus, he's the son of John Hyrcanus, who was this really powerful and respected high priest. But, from the second his father died, it was crystal clear that Aristobulus' ambitions went way beyond the temple walls. He wanted a crown.
Aristobulus' first moves as a ruler were incredibly fast, they were decisive, and they were shockingly brutal. And you know who his main target was? His own family.
The guy just systematically tore apart his father's entire succession plan. His dad had wanted his mother to take over, Aristobulus. He throws her in prison, where she ends up dying under, let's just say, very suspicious circumstances. Then he goes after his brothers, imprisoning 3 out of 4 of them. He didn't see them as family. He saw them as competition.
So out of 4 brothers, there was only one he trusted, a guy named Antigonus. In the very beginning, he actually shared power with him. And that was a pretty rare sign of trust in a reign that was, for the most part, built on paranoia. And this right here, this just perfectly shows the huge change he represented. The Hasmoneans, they'd built up this image of priestly virtue, of leadership as a sacred duty. Aristobulus just tossed all of that aside for the ruthless, ambitious model of a Hellenistic king, where power is all about force. So, with his power at home all locked down through fear and force, Aristobulus turned his attention outward. He was ready to start expanding the borders of his brand new kingdom.
His army pushed north, into a region called Iturea. That's in modern-day Lebanon. And this wasn't just about conquering land for the sake of it. No, this was strategic. It was about securing valuable trade routes and creating a stronger, more connected Jewish kingdom, stretching all the way from Judea up to Galilee. But here's where things get really controversial. His policy for the people he conquered, the Iturians, was pretty harsh. They had a stark choice: adopt Jewish laws and customs, and that included circumcision, or get out of their own land. A strategy, by the way, that he actually picked up from his father. So historians still debate this. What was the real reason for this policy? Was he genuinely trying to create religious unity? Or was it something more cynical, like a calculated political move to control the population and just stamp out any chance of a future rebellion? It's a question we're still grappling with.
So on the surface, everything looked great for Aristobulus, right? He's a king, he's a conqueror, but the power he built was sitting on this really fragile foundation of paranoia, and it was all about to come crashing down in the most tragic way you can imagine.
A sudden, really severe illness just grabs hold of the king, and as his body started to fail, his mind started to go too. He became completely consumed by suspicion and fear.
And in this weakened state, he was easily tricked. Whispers, false rumors started reaching him, all saying that the one brother he trusted, his partner in all this, Antigonus, was plotting to overthrow him.
The end came so fast. In this fit of paranoia, Aristobulus gives the order to execute his beloved brother. When he realized he'd been tricked, that he'd killed his only true ally, the grief just shattered him. His illness got worse, and he died shortly after.
So he was king for only 1 year, just a brief flash in the grand scheme of history. But what did that one single year actually mean for the future of the Hasmonean dynasty and, for Judea itself?
Well, his short reign was a total game changer, and not in a good way. He was the first to call himself king, and in doing so, he basically opened the floodgates for all the violent, messy family politics that would just plague the Hasmoneans from then on. He really set the stage for his successor, his even more controversial brother, Alexander Jannaeus.
And that's really the question his legacy leaves us with, isn't it?
His one-year reign is this powerful reminder of how unchecked ambition, once you let it loose, can just consume everyone in its path, sometimes even the king himself.